At my best friend's wedding, the bouquet was caught by a girl, then it bounced, and landed in my arms. All eyes knowingly turned to Gu Cheng, cheering for our 8-year relationship. Marry her. The bouquet found its way to her. She's the one. Gu Cheng was pushed through the crowd to stand before me, my face flushed, waiting quietly for those words, I'll marry you. But he just calmly took the bouquet from my hands, turned around, and casually handed it to the bridesmaid beside him. She caught it first. He ruffled my hair. His voice was as gentle as ever. Be good. We'll wait for the next time. The spotlight followed the bouquet as it moved away. I watched the girl's surprised, shy expression, and forced a smile. Gu Cheng didn't know there wouldn't be a next time. My wedding is next week. Shin's face instantly darkened. I grabbed her hand as she was about to raise it. She looked back at me, her eyes even redder than mine. That woman did it on purpose. I specifically told all the bridesmaids, that bouquet was for you. Shin. The wedding wasn't over yet, but the focus of the entire room had already shifted away from Gu Cheng and me, following that bouquet, to land on the face of that bridesmaid, Bai Weiwei, holding the flowers. She glanced at Gu Cheng with shimmering eyes. Gu Cheng had already calmly retreated to the edge of the crowd. The MC was experienced. A few witty remarks reignited the atmosphere. Shin finally turned her head away resentfully. The ceremony continued. Throughout the banquet, I sat at the main table with the bride's family and friends, under sympathetic and curious gazes from all directions. Gu Cheng was at another table, laughing and chatting with his friends. Bai Weiwei sat next to him. The distance between them was far beyond what's appropriate for a secretary. She wasn't originally a bridesmaid. The groom's side had an extra groomsman last minute, so she filled in. Gu Cheng often takes her to various events, calling it training. Even my best friend's wedding was no exception. During the toast, Shin, arm in arm with the groom, came to our table. She hugged me tightly, and whispered through gritted teeth, for my ears only. That woman has been trying to get close to your Gu Cheng for half a year now. I had someone look into it. She's quite the operator. Gu Cheng, Shin. Today, you are the most beautiful bride. Let's not talk about that. She snorted, and said no more. The banquet finally ended. Guests gradually dispersed. Only then did Gu Cheng walk over calmly. Let's go home. He naturally took the bag from my hand. His other hand habitually moved to hold my shoulder. I shifted slightly, avoiding it. You've been drinking. I'll call a driver. He didn't seem to mind. He nodded. All right. The car drove into the night. My face was reflected faintly in the window. My makeup was flawless, but it couldn't hide the weariness in my eyes. Today, he suddenly spoke up. It was Weiwei who caught the bouquet first. The girl probably wants some of that wedding luck. Returning it to its rightful owner. Don't take it to heart. I didn't respond. Watching the neon lights flash by outside, he waited a moment, finally looked up from his phone screen, and looked at me. Are you upset? He leaned in closer. Didn't we agree? Next time, for sure. His fingers ran through my loose hair, and rubbed the back of my neck, like soothing a grumpy kitten. Our wedding will definitely be even better than Tang Xian's. You can have as many bouquets as you want. A wave of bitterness washed over me. It's always like this, using that gentle tone, to make a vague promise for next time, and then just assume that the issue should be settled. Gu Cheng. I looked at his reflection in the window. Shin and I swore when we were kids, whoever got married first, the other's wedding couldn't be more than a week later. We'd wear the bridesmaid dresses we made for each other, and be the first to witness each other's happiness. The car fell silent for a moment. His hand on my neck stopped. Childhood promises. You're taking them seriously. His hands started moving again, with a hint of dismissal. Plans change all the time now. Venue availability, planning. These things need to be arranged half a year, even a year in advance. We'll plan it properly. I'll definitely give you the most perfect one. What's the rush? He didn't explain why he didn't dare promise to marry me in front of everyone. Instead, he jumped straight to how to plan a perfect wedding. I suddenly remembered. A month before Shin's wedding, she excitedly dragged me to try on the bridesmaid dress she designed herself. Champagne-colored chiffon. Tiny pearls adorned the waistline. When I put it on, Shin's eyes lit up, then inexplicably grew misty. Shiji. You look absolutely stunning in this. I made it especially for you. When you get married, I'll make you an even more beautiful wedding dress. Gu Cheng was there too at the time. He was looking down, replying to work messages. He glanced up when he heard, and smiled. Not bad. Then his gaze returned to the screen, his fingers typing rapidly. In that moment, besides feeling happy for my soon-to-be married best friend, I also felt a pang of sorrow for my own 8 fruitless years. The car slowly entered the neighborhood. It came to a stop. Gu Cheng unbuckled his seatbelt, as if thinking the conversation in the car had already put that little episode behind us. He naturally leaned over to give me a kiss. I raised my hand and gently pressed against his shoulder. He froze. I'm tired. Gu Cheng. Being a bridesmaid is exhausting. You should get some rest. Weiwei says she can't get a cab. It's not safe for a young woman alone. I'll go back and give her a ride. My voice was flat and emotionless. He didn't move immediately, as if waiting for me to tell him to drive safe like I usually do, or to complain with a hint of resentment about him going out so late. But I just opened the car door and got out. The designated driver slowly started the car. I closed the door. I collapsed onto the sofa. It was a long time before I got up and walked to the bedroom. Passing by that nursery, I paused for a moment. We planned for this room when we bought the place 4 years ago. Now, there's no child. It's just filled with clutter. I walked in. From the dusty crib, I pulled out a thick stack of things. His handwritten love letters, movie stubs, amusement park tickets, instant photos from our trips together. The one at the very bottom was taken at our college graduation. He was carrying me on his back under a cherry blossom tree. My arms were wrapped around his neck. My long hair and cherry blossom petals were flying together. On the back of the photo, he wrote in his flamboyant handwriting, "I'll carry you for a lifetime. I promise." The faint living room light fell on those words, coldly, like a silent mockery. Faintly, from downstairs, came the sound of a car pulling into the garage. I froze. I didn't move. I just listened. The sound of a key turning in the lock. Footsteps deliberately lightened. After a while, the door was gently pushed open. He stood in the doorway. Not asleep yet. I didn't turn around. I was still crouched in front of the crib. "Mitchum, why did you dig all this out?" Feeling nostalgic, I didn't answer his question. I just asked quietly, "Did you get her home?" "Yeah, dropped her off. She lives in a remote area. It's not easy to get a cab." I lowered my head again, carefully stacking the photos. I put them back. "It's late. Let's sleep." This time, he reached out to help me up. I didn't offer my hand. Instead, I pushed myself up using my knees, struggling a bit to stand. My legs were a bit numb from crouching. It made me sway. "Gu Cheng, let's break up." He stopped what he was doing, looked at me for a couple of seconds, then chuckled, and loosened his tie. "Still thinking about the bouquet? Don't be petty." His tone was the kind of helplessness you'd use to coax a sulking child. "All right, I'll order you an even bigger one tomorrow, okay? Go wash up and get to bed. I have a meeting first thing tomorrow." With that, he turned and headed for the bathroom. Within a week, I said to his retreating back, my voice quiet, "I'm getting married." His hand, which had just touched the bathroom doorknob, froze. A few seconds later, he turned around, and the last trace of forced gentleness finally fell from his face. "Xiaji, stop messing around." He raised a hand to rub his temples. "Marriage is a big deal. It's not something you do on a whim just because you're upset." October 28th. I added the date. "The venue is booked, and the wedding dress is picked out." He suddenly let out a cold laugh. "Did Tang Xian say something to you again today? Just because she had a whirlwind marriage herself, she thinks everyone should be as impulsive as her." "Xiaji, get a grip. Don't let her lead you astray. After all these years we've been through." "Gu Cheng," I cut him off. "The invitations start printing tomorrow." A muscle twitched in his face. "Xiaji, do you really think this will work? It just makes you seem childish, unreasonable. My career is on the rise right now. This will only distract me, throw off all my plans and strategies. Are you that desperate to get married?" His words hit me like stones. Before, his attitude used to make me panic, make me rush to explain and back down. But now, all I feel is peace. His attention has always been a precious commodity. It goes to important projects, and is reserved for his capable secretary. Late-night check-ins, birthday surprises, and those half-day hot spring trips that just happen to come up during business trips, so there's naturally very little left for someone like me. I met his gaze, and nodded. "Yes, all my friends are married. I want to get married too." After saying that, I turned and went into the bedroom. On the nightstand was a fashion magazine from 6 months ago. The cover headline was eye-catching, a must-read for brides-to-be, the perfect 3-month pre-wedding planning guide. I was so excited when I bought it back then. Flipped through a few pages, and then, with his one remark, "No rush," it got shelved. Never opened it again. In the darkness, I stared blankly at the blurry ceiling. My phone vibrated softly. The screen lit up automatically. It was a message from Shinshin. "Are you asleep? My heart feels heavy. Just thinking about that woman makes my blood boil. What's going on with Gu Cheng? What's going on?" "Nothing's going on. In this world, not every wait ends in a blossom." She sent another long message. "We agreed our weddings would be at most a week apart, remember?" "Remember." Who knew your guy would be as dense as a log? The bouquet was already in your hands, and he still didn't get the hint. "You've been together for 8 years, not 8 months. Forget it. This time, I'll let you break our promise." My finger paused slightly. I typed out a few words. "Girl, when have I ever broken a promise to you?" Gu Cheng moved to the small apartment near his office for overtime emergencies. Probably my sudden wedding plans made him feel suffocated. Going there for some peace and quiet is fine. It gives us both some breathing room. I quietly took care of everything. I started packing up the apartment we're living in now. I listed it on a brokerage website. That afternoon when I handed the keys to the agent, I was home sorting through some miscellaneous items. I found a project document tucked inside an old magazine. I glanced at it. It was exactly what Gu Cheng was currently working on. After hesitating for a moment, I decided to deliver it to him anyway. When I arrived, the apartment door was shut tight. There were faint sounds of talking and laughter coming from inside. It seemed there were more than one person. I raised my hand, just about to knock. A familiar female voice rose up just then, with a troubled tone. Mr. Gu, it's all my fault. I had no experience catching bouquet for the first time. Now it's spreading like wildfire in the company group chat. Several colleagues have privately asked me if Mr. Gu and you have to help me clarify it in the group chat. Otherwise, I'll be too embarrassed to face anyone. My raised hand frozen midair. Gu Cheng hadn't spoken yet. One of his buddies cut in with a teasing laugh. Secretary Bai, are you really hoping for our Mr. Gu to clarify things? Or are you just fishing for him to say something else? A round of suggestive laughter. Bai Weiwei protested coyly. How annoying. But there was no trace of annoyance in her voice. Alright, don't bother her. Gu Cheng's voice rang out, with a casual tolerance. Don't worry too much about this kind of thing. In a while, people will naturally forget. They'll forget in a while. This sentence unexpectedly triggered a memory. Back then, I went to the company to help him with miscellaneous tasks. He forgot the setting, and naturally put his arm around my shoulder. It happened to be seen by a colleague. That afternoon, he casually clarified in the company group chat, telling everyone not to misunderstand, and focus on work. At that time, I understood. To avoid unnecessary gossip, I stopped going to the company. My fingertips felt slightly cold. It turns out what he cared about was perhaps never the office romance itself, but rather being seen with me, a woman who could hardly help his career. Another buddy asked curiously, speaking of which, Bro Cheng, how did you handle Xiaoji later? I actually got her wedding invitation this morning. That's so sudden. A brief silence. Gu Cheng chuckled. Without warmth, let her do what she wants. Some trivial matters in daily life. I've been indulging her, and that's fine. But this time, she needs to understand on her own that some things can't be solved by throwing a tantrum. Whoa. Someone started heckling. So, you're set on missing your own wedding, groom-to-be? Gu Cheng didn't say a word, which was as good as a yes, until another buddy, with a hint of uncertainty, tentatively spoke up. Old Gu, do you really have to make things this awkward? You and Xiaoji have been together for so many years. After all, we've been waiting to toast at your wedding for so long. Our necks are getting sore. He said here. His voice paused subtly, with a hint of playful speculation. You're being so stubborn. Could it be, you have other plans, like, our secretary Bai, Mr. Li? Bai Weiwei drawled out with a coquettish laugh. Oh, you really shouldn't joke like that about me. Mr. Gu knows what he's doing. She said those last words, softly and meaningfully. Gu Cheng offered no explanation. A knowing chuckle rippled through the room. Another male voice chimed in, full of agreement. If you ask me, Brother Cheng is already quite devoted. For so many years, anyone else would have lost patience long ago. Xiaoji, aside from arguing with you, what else could she possibly help with? Unlike our Weiwei, smart and sensible, she can really step up when needed. Bai Weiwei scolds, interrupting. Stop talking nonsense. The motion sensor light outside the door had turned off again at some point. The hallway was dim. I gently placed the document folder on the floor by the door, and nudged it under the door with my toe. Then I turned and left. Gu Cheng opened his phone screen once more. The chat interface with Xiaoji remained. On the last message he sent her, when you figure things out, I'll come back. Something felt off. He knew Xiaoji. Even during past Cold Wars, her silence always carried a hint of a little tactic to get his attention, but he had moved out for exactly 5 days now. She hadn't even posted a single moment's post. Old Gu, a mutual friend handed him their phone, with a tone of surprise. Your wife's wedding photos are absolutely stunning. Gu Cheng snapped back to reality. It was a moment's post posted by Tang Xian. 9-grid layout. In the center photo, Xiaoji was wearing a wedding dress, standing before a clear floor-to-ceiling window. Sunlight poured down, casting a soft halo around her. She lowered her head slightly, her gaze resting on her hands as they gently stroked the satin of her wedding dress, a faint smile curling at the corners of her lips. She was beautiful, a kind of beauty he hadn't seen on her in a long time, one that had washed away all anxiety, leaving behind a serene beauty. Likes and comments from their mutual friends flooded in below the post. She looks absolutely stunning. That guy Gu Cheng is one lucky man. Congratulations. Finally, Tang Xian's social media had always been blocked from him, so he couldn't see it directly, but he could catch a glimpse of all this excitement from someone else's phone. A sudden, inexplicable anger welled up inside him. She's actually going through with it, and making such a big show of it. TSK, she's putting on quite the act. He gave a slight, derisive tug at the corner of his mouth. Let her have her fun. I'm not going. Let's see how she puts on this show alone. A friend chuckled awkwardly. Cheng, what's the point? Some things, you just can't indulge. Gu Cheng cut him off, especially since someone nearby was fanning the flames. Once this is all over. He paused, His words carried a pointed meaning. I'll make sure she understands exactly who she should keep her distance from. In his mind, Tang Xin had long been categorized as a bad influence who was corrupting Cig. Quarantine is mandatory. October 28th, the day after that grid of 9 photos was posted. Gu Qing woke up early. Earlier this year, Cig's parents came over for a meal. During the meal, the elders hinted the best day this year was the one at the end of October. After that, they'd have to wait until next year. He heard them out at the time, just smiling and serving them more food, casually saying there was no rush. There was plenty of time. But in his mind he thought, a major event like marriage shouldn't be scheduled by an old almanac. But he never expected. Cig actually took it to heart. She really planned it for that day. Calls and messages from his buddies started coming in. Sheng, you're really not going. We're all ready. Just waiting for your word to head over. Should we arrange a car convoy? We can still make it if we leave now. He scoffed, replying in the group chat. What's the hurry? Let her wait. Imagining Cig in her wedding dress now, restless in the decorated new home, checking the time again and again. That look of anticipation and anxiety, that sense of punitive satisfaction swelled inside him. She needs to taste real panic, so she won't dare do it again. Until someone suddenly dropped a screenshot in the group. It was a post Tang Xin just shared. The picture showed a warm, festive bedroom, decorated with double happiness signs and heart-shaped balloons. Rose petals scattered on the bed, sunlight filtered through the window sheer, warm and cozy. The room is filled with sweetness. The caption says, my girl, you must be happy. The groom needs to hurry. The group exploded instantly. Holy crap, they actually set it up. This vibe, Cheng, if you don't go, I can't stand it. Gu Cheng, if you're a man, hurry up. Don't let it slip away. Address. We'll go with you, bros. The screen's light reflects on Gu Cheng's face. He stares at that photo. His fingers tighten slightly. Every detail in that room is calling for the groom's arrival. He imagines himself pushing the door open and seeing her surprised look amid everyone's cheers. He turns towards the walk-in closet. The custom-made suit hangs in the most prominent spot in the closet. Tie, cufflinks, leather shoes. Everything is ready. A week ago, he somehow, unconsciously ordered his assistant to prepare it. Now, the brothers are pushing him hard. The taut string in his heart seems to loosen a bit, speaking into the phone. His tone is still reluctantly annoyed. Alright, what's all the noise? Like he can't resist the bros urging, and compromises. Wait, I'll change clothes. He stands up and walks towards the closet. His steps are faster than usual, but he doesn't realize it. He buttons the last button on his shirt, and prepares to put on the suit jacket. His phone rings. It's a bro who went ahead to scout. Old Gu, why did you sell your wedding house with Cig? Where do we pick up the bride? What was sold? Gu Qing didn't understand. Your apartment. The security guard said the title was just transferred a few days ago. Gu Qing froze, his hand halfway into his jacket sleeve, hanging in midair. Transferred? He couldn't process it for a moment. His brow furrowed tightly. Explain. The apartment you and Cig are living in. The guard said the owner changed. I asked where Cig was. The guard had no idea. His friend's voice grew louder. It sounded absurd. Old Gu, did you and Cig move without telling us? Where are we supposed to pick up the bride now? A dull thunderclap exploded in Gu Cheng's mind, catching him completely off guard. Whatever his friend said next became a blur. Sold. That apartment, the apartment he and Cig had chosen together, the design they had picked out, and furnished piece by piece, the place they'd promised would be their marital home. He stood there, frozen. Gu, say something. What do we do now? The voice on the phone pressed anxiously. Gu Cheng's Adam's apple bobbed violently, but no sound came out. His gaze fell on the suit jacket lying on the floor. The address. Send me the new owner's contact info, or the realtor's details. Right now, he yelled into the phone. As he stumbled toward the door. She sold the house. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want the home they built together for 5 years. Does she not want him either? The moment this thought surfaced, Gu Qing felt a suffocating, overwhelming dread. He cast aside all pride, and frantically dialed Cig's number. Once, twice, 10 times. All he heard was that same cold, polite, automated voice. The number you have dialed is powered off. Powered off. On the very day he was finally ready to fetch his bride, just as he was about to make his grand entrance, right in front of her, her phone was off. Gu Qing abruptly turned off his phone screen. A shred of remaining sanity gave him one last hope. He drove to meet up with his equally confused friends. One of them rummaged through the car for a while, and finally pulled out an invitation, creased from being buried under junk, handing it over. He avoided eye contact. Cheng, she had someone leave it in my car. When I heard you, the groom, weren't going, I just kinda. Gu Qing snatched it, his eyes locked onto 4 words first. Guxia Union. His heart felt squeezed, then released. Gu, that's him, trying on wedding dresses, selling the house, turning off her phone, all behind his back. This wasn't like the sensible girl he knew. That Tang Xan must have put her up to this again, trying to force him into panic with such extreme measures. But no matter what, the names on the wedding invitation can't be fake. He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he forcibly suppressed the turmoil in his heart. Where are we going now? It's been confirmed. The house has been sold. The new owner won't let us cause trouble here. Fine. The house issue. We'll settle it with her after the wedding. Right now, the most urgent thing is to pick up his bride. To the hotel. He tapped his finger heavily on the hotel name below the invitation. His voice regained its calm. Everyone, perk up. Let's go. Along the way, he sat in the back seat. He repeatedly rubbed the words Guxia on the invitation. That shallow certainty gradually settled. Yet it was entangled by a strange unease. Since the invitations have been sent out, why is her phone turned off? Tang Xan, the bridesmaid, isn't answering either. These doubts are like tiny ice chips, silently seeping into his just warmed blood. When he arrived at the hotel, the sign announcing the Guxia marriage stood there, soothing his anxious nerves. He walked in quickly, ignoring the staff at the check-in, and also overlooking the surrounding guests, and their indescribable looks when they saw him. He simply thought it was because he came in a hurry, and his poor appearance attracted side glances. The banquet hall was filled with the fragrance of flowers, and every detail showed careful thought. Gu Qing stood among the crowd, feeling a subtle satisfaction in his heart. It was clear that Xiaji was very attentive to this wedding, but this satisfaction only lasted for a moment, and was soon replaced by another feeling of displeasure. All of this should have been arranged by him. The proposal on bended knee, the selection of the wedding dress style, the finalization of the banquet menu, even the color coordination of the flowers filling the hall, all should have been surprises he gave her. Now he feels like a guest who arrived late, passively accepting a fact that's already set. He pursed his lips, forcing down the annoyance of being excluded. Fine, it's already set. Getting hung up on these minor details now would make him look petty. After all, there's plenty of time ahead. There will be plenty of opportunities for him to make up for it and take charge. Right now, the most important thing is to complete the ceremony. He straightened his suit, his gaze turned toward the entrance, waiting for his bride to appear. Sir, could you please show your invitation? A staff member politely approached and said. Gu Cheng was taken aback. What invitation did he have? Xiaji never sent him one. He frowned. His tone unconsciously took on an undeniable authority. I'm the groom. The staff member's smile froze for a moment, looking at him with confusion, then looked down and checked the guest list in his hand, and cautiously asked, Are you the groom, Mr. Gu? Obviously, Gu Cheng's patience was rapidly dwindling. The guests had all arrived. Because the wedding was rushed, he hadn't invited any relatives from his side. That was also why he wasn't too happy. But since he was here, he wasn't going to dwell on it. Curious glances swept over him. Sorry. The staff seemed to confirm something, and quickly stepped aside. Mr. Gu, the bride hasn't arrived yet. You can go directly to the lounge inside the banquet hall. Would you like me to take you there? Gu Qing waved his hand. He walked straight through the corridor lined with red carpet, towards the banquet hall. Some familiar faces saw him, and gave him ambiguous congratulatory looks. Gu Cheng, congratulations. 8 years of dating finally led to marriage. Where's the bride? Keeping her hidden so well. He forced a smile to respond, but his eyes kept glancing towards the entrance. Why hasn't Xieji arrived yet? And Tangxin, there's no one I can even ask. He tries calling Xieji again. Still no answer. Just as he's about to go ask the hotel manager, a small commotion erupts at the banquet hall entrance, followed by the cheerful shouts of children. Gu Qing perks up. He quickly adjusts his suit jacket, and strides toward the entrance. He's ready to see her stunning in her wedding dress. Ready for her look, whether hurt or surprised. Ready to show everyone his tolerance and dignity as a husband, even though he's thinking, he must teach her a lesson tonight. This joke has gone too far. The crowd parts on both sides. First comes the little flower girl in a beautiful dress, scattering petals. Then, Tangxin in a champagne-colored bridesmaid dress. She immediately spotted someone standing on the red carpet. Gu Cheng, who was approaching from this end. The smile on his face vanished instantly. Gu Cheng was startled by her piercing gaze. He unconsciously slowed his pace, but Tang Xian had already shifted her gaze away. She turned sideways, and bent slightly, making a guiding gesture, then called out loudly toward the entrance. Now, let's welcome today's most beautiful bride, Miss Xiaji. The next moment, Xiaji, dressed in a pristine wedding gown, appeared at the doorway. Her face beneath the veil was beautiful and serene, with that smile he had seen in photos lingering at her lips. Gu Cheng's heart skipped a beat. All the prepared expressions and words were stuck in his throat. He was about to step forward, to fulfill his duties as the groom. Just then, from the other end of the red carpet, a composed stranger brushed past him, steadily walking toward the starting point of the red carpet. He extended his arm to Xiaji, who had just stepped into the hall. the host's enthusiastic and cheerful voice resounded throughout the banquet hall. Now, let's give a huge round of applause to welcome today's happiest couple, the beautiful bride, Miss Xiaji, and our handsome groom, Mr. Gu Su. Gu Su. Gu Cheng's advancing steps froze dead in their tracks. All the blood in his body rushed violently to his head. Everything before his eyes began to warp and sway. Except for the figures in the center of the red carpet, arms linked. They were painfully clear. Holy shit. A glass nearly slipped from a buddy's hand nearby. Chengji, what the hell is going on? The groom's name is Gu Su, so the Guxia alliance means. The brothers' stunned murmurs buzzed like a swarm, like a flustered, panicked hive of bees, but they couldn't pierce the sharp silence ringing in Gu Cheng's ears. He stared fixedly at Xiaji, at that blinding smile on her face, at her fingers tightly clutching another man's arm. No, that's not right, this isn't right. He shoves aside the dazed brothers in front of him, and recklessly tries to charge toward the center of the red carpet. Gu Cheng, a figure darts in front of him even faster. It's Tang Exen, but there's no trace of wedding joy on her face now, only unconcealed anger. Get out of my way, Gu Cheng growls, trying to get around her. Tang Exen doesn't budge an inch. She takes a step forward. What do you think you're doing? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Gu Cheng, look around. Look at her. This isn't your turf. Gu Cheng scoffs as if he's just heard the biggest joke. She's mine. We've been together for 8 years. Who the hell is this Gu Su guy? Who came out of nowhere? Xiaji, he raises his voice, trying to look past Xinshin. At Xiaji, who has stopped on the red carpet. You explain this to me. What's going on? Are you fucking with me? His outburst drew the attention of the surrounding guests, but the venue was noisy, and that sound just now wasn't enough to reach the bride and groom's ears. Tang Xian's expression turned even colder, keeping her voice low, so no one else could hear. I'm messing with you. Gu Cheng, search your conscience. Over these 8 years, who's been messing with whom? How many chances has Xiaji given you? Can you even count them? Last time, during the bouquet toss, Xinshin said angrily. Do you know how much resolve she had to muster, waiting for that moment? She went back to her hometown, and already met Gu Su's parents. That was the last step she left for you. She said, if that day, you had caught the bouquet, even if you just walked over, even if you just said in front of everyone, I'll marry you, even if it was just a clear promise, she would have immediately refused the marriage proposal from Gu Su's family, and continued to wait for you like a fool. Gu Cheng's pupils suddenly contracted. The bouquet was the last chance. Tang Exen watched his face drain of color. Her sneer deepened. And you, Gu Cheng, what did you do? You snatched the bouquet right out of her hands, and gave it to Bai Weiwei. You told her, in front of everyone, next time, do you even know what you pushed away? And Bai Weiwei, in Xinshin's eyes were heartache and fury for her friend's undeserved pain. That little secretary, how many times did she call you when you were drunk, using that suggestive tone to get Xiaji to pick you up? How many times did she accidentally leave lipstick marks or perfume? How many times, in your company group chats and on social media, did she post those coded messages and photos only you could understand? She even dared to imply to Xiaji that you two had already slept together. Gu Cheng's body swayed violently. He wanted to refute it, to say it wasn't true, to say Bai Weiwei wasn't like that, but those vague details he'd ignored now came rushing forward, clamoring for attention. Bai Weiwei's late-night, emergency calls, the earring left in the car, and she always casually mentions things when Xiaji is around. Work details only he and she know. Xiaji always chooses to believe you. Xinshin's voice choked with emotion. She was like a fool, chewing up all those suspicions and swallowing them herself, then listening to you dismissively say it's just work. She's my secretary. You're overthinking it. Gu Cheng, where's your heart? Was it eaten by a dog? Or did you give it to that young, pretty secretary by long ago? It's not me. Gu Cheng opened his mouth, but found all his excuses were weak and useless. Tang Exen looked at him one last time. Her eyes were filled only with contempt. Gu Cheng, you deserve this. What you lost is the person who loved you most in this world. From today, she's Mrs. Gu now. But, not your Gu. You better not cause trouble. The bodyguards I hired aren't pushovers. After she finished speaking, she turned around decisively. She jogged to catch up with the bridal procession. She put on a bright smile again. Gu Cheng stood rigidly in place. At the end of the red carpet, Gu Su carefully lifted Xiaji's veil. As he leaned down to kiss her forehead, Gu Cheng lost control and tried to rush forward. This time, several brothers held him back tightly. Old Gu, calm down. Cheng, don't. They used immense force. They practically pinned him down. Let me go. Gu Cheng's eyes were bloodshot. Struggling, he stared intently ahead. That gentle forehead kiss felt like a slow-motion shot. Each moment tortured him. That's mine. Xiaji is mine. How could she? How dare she? Wake up. A close brother whispered. Look at the occasion. The cameras are everywhere. You're a public figure now. the company just got funding. So many eyes are watching. Do you want to be on the front page tomorrow? At a tech company founder's wedding, a groom-snatching scene unfolds. He appears to be mentally unstable. Another brother also forcefully presses down on his shoulder. He quickly adds, Cheng, we're begging you. Don't let things get out of hand. What can you change by going over there now? It will only make everyone, including Xiaji, look down on you even more. You'll become the laughingstock of the whole city. A laughingstock. Gu Cheng's struggling force halts for a moment. That word feels like ice water being poured over his head. He looks around in a daze. The curious glances that were originally cast his way have now turned into clear, astonished stares. The MC cleverly raises his voice, telling the couple's love story in a more passionate tone, to try and cover up the commotion here. But more and more guests are still looking over, pointing and whispering. On the main stage, Gu Su's kiss has already landed. Xiaji slowly opens her eyes, her gaze calmly sweeping over the brief chaos here. Her eyes showed no emotion. She then smiled at her new husband. That overly calm gaze, it completely severed Gu Cheng's last bit of madness. Let's go. Let's get out of here first. The brothers exchanged glances, half dragging, half carrying the nearly exhausted Gu Cheng away. After that wedding, Xiaji seemed to vanish from the world. Her phone number became disconnected. Her social media accounts stopped updating. Her social media feeds were completely blocked from him. Gu Cheng used all his connections. Only then did he learn indirectly. The day after the wedding ended, Xiaji followed Gu Su back to his hometown in the neighboring city. It was a place he never thought he'd need to know about. He knew Xiaji was acting out of spite. Back when they started their business and bought a house, they chose a city Xiaji liked. How could she be willing to go to a neighboring city now? He immediately found the new owner who bought their wedding home. The other party was reluctant to transfer it at first. Gu Cheng made an offer they couldn't refuse. The paperwork went through in no time. When he held that familiar set of keys again, and opened the door, facing the empty space and an unfamiliar scent, a sharp sense of irony hit him. Nothing here has changed. The layout, the view outside the window, even the faint marks on the wall where photos were once pinned. Yet everything has changed. He had it thoroughly cleaned, restoring the furnishings bit by bit from memory. He even bought back her favorite scented candle and lit it. Then, he took a few photos, found an old email address of Xiaji's, and sent them. The message had only one line. Home is still here. You can come back to stay anytime. The message went unanswered. He started traveling frequently to the city where she lived. He even found out which park and market her parents frequented, to engineer a chance encounter. Whenever Xiaji's parents saw him, they couldn't hide their awkwardness and discomfort. Hey, Xiaogu, you're here again. Gigi, she's doing well now. Auntie, I was neglectful before. I didn't visit often. From now on, I'll visit often to keep you company. He brought expensive health supplements and fruit. With a sincere attitude, he played chess with Xia's father. He listened to the old man talk about old stories, trying to piece together Xiaji's current situation from fragments. Xia's father sighed. He wanted to say something but stopped. In the end, he just patted his shoulder and walked away. Just let it be in the past. Don't be too hard on yourself. He's hard on himself. No, he's just correcting his mistakes. He stubbornly believes that as long as he behaves well enough, and is patient enough, he can knock on that door again. He forgot that the person behind that door is no longer waiting there. The real chance encounter with Xiaji happened at a corner coffee shop. Xiaji and a female friend were sitting by the window. Gu Cheng almost rushed in. Gigi. Xiaji looked up at the sound. Seeing him, the smile on his face faded. Mr. Gu, what a coincidence. Her friend beside her looked at him warily. Can we talk alone? Just 5 minutes. Gu Cheng's voice was dry. Xiaji hesitated, nodding to her friend. Her friend stood up and left, and sat down at a seat not far away. You look well. He spoke with difficulty. Thank you. What is it, Mr. Gu? I bought back our house, just like it was before, he said urgently. And, by Weiwei, I've already fired her. Between me and her, there's really nothing. Her little tricks, I didn't pay attention to them before. I was stupid. He rambled incoherently, desperate to explain himself, as if saying these words could wipe away the dust covering the past 8 years. Xiaji listened quietly, waiting until he finally stopped, panting and looking at her. She finally spoke up. Gu Cheng, I believe you. Gu Cheng's eyes lit up, but then Xiaji continued, I believe that between you two, maybe nothing really ever happened. At least, physically. She paused, looking out at the bustling street outside. But, so what? Gu Cheng was stunned. What matters was never whether you slept with Bai Weiwei. Xiaji turned back, her gaze clear and steady on him. What matters is, in those 8 years, in your countless choices and priorities, I was always the one put on hold. The person in the stop making a scene option, your secretary, your work, your reputation, even your buddy's jokes, were all more important than my longing for a home. The bouquet incident was the final ranking. I saw the answer. She gently touched her lower abdomen. The tender gesture pierced Gu Cheng's heart. Gu Cheng, I don't hate you. Really, you could fire 100 Bai Weiweis, and buy back 10 houses, and it wouldn't matter to me anymore. I'm living well now. Gu Su is wonderful. When she mentions her husband's name, there's a light in her eyes. A light Gu Cheng once thought would always belong to him. Now it burns his eyes. Please, stop disturbing my life, and stop harassing my parents. Let's end it here. She stands up, and nods slightly, then walks toward her waiting friend. She never looks back. Gu Cheng doesn't go after her. He's frozen in his seat. What does it matter? Those words echo in his mind, finally shattering all his self-deluding dreams of remedy. He thought by compensating materially, clearing up misunderstandings, and investing time, he could salvage. Salvage what? Salvage someone he had habitually ignored, until he lost her and realized her preciousness. It was still a relationship that had long been damaged. He still hadn't completely given up, like he had developed an obsessive addiction. He secretly kept tabs on everything about her, until a few months later, through some scattered information, he confirmed the news he had long anticipated. Xiaji was pregnant. He saw Xiaji's social media posts through someone else. 2 photos. He searched for 2 photos. One was a back view of Gu Su accompanying her for a prenatal checkup. The other was an ultrasound photo, a blurry little image. The caption read, "Our little star." He suddenly remembered long ago. Xiaji had once nestled in his arms. She whispered, "In the future, we should have 2 babies. The daughter should look like you. The son should look like me." Okay. He was replying to work emails at that time. He casually grunted, without even lifting his head. Now, her little star is coming. But the father isn't him. She finally has her own home, her own child, her own settled happiness. All of this had nothing to do with him. Not a single connection left. So this is the ending. Not some grand revenge. Not a heart-wrenching argument. Not even a proper goodbye. She just gently averted her gaze, and walked down a different path. Then, left him and their 8 years, completely behind her. Outside the window, the night was deep, swallowing everything. The story that belonged to him and Xiaji had long since ended the moment the bouquet was taken away. Its final chapter written. But he, only now, truly understood it. Another autumn had come. Gu Cheng stood on the street of this unfamiliar city, watching the phoenix tree leaves slowly fall. He had been here many times, so many times that he could tell which wonton shop had the freshest broth, which alley's cats weren't afraid of people, but he was always an outsider. Xiaji's social media updates became even fewer. Occasionally, a photo. She had set up a group. He could only see from Tang Xian, some scattered fragments about her, a corner of a crib, a pair of small tiger head shoes, and a photo of a full moon banquet invitation. Tang Xian captioned it with, "Godmother loves you, my little Xingyan." Gu Xingyan. He silently repeated this name. His heart felt like it was soaked in ice water, numb and painful. He once thought, their child, would bear his surname. But, she had already decided. But that, Gu, wasn't him. Today was the annual folk lantern festival in the neighboring city. Gu Cheng mingled in the bustling crowd. Aimlessly, both sides of the riverbank were hung with various lanterns, light and shadow intertwined, reflecting on everyone's smiling faces. He suddenly stopped. At a sugar painting stall not far away, he saw that familiar back, etched deep into his bones. She wore a loose beige sweater, her long hair casually tied up, revealing a pale neck. She was slightly bent over, speaking to a street vendor. Beside her, Gu Su held a swaddled infant in his arms, carefully shielding the baby's head with his hand, to block the bustling crowd. Gu Cheng's breath caught. He saw Gu Su lean down, whisper something in her ear, and she laughed, tilting her head to rest on his shoulder, with a look of complete, unguarded trust. This was a Xiaji he had never seen before, not the one who forced herself to be sensible, swallowing all her grievances, but a wife who was cherished, allowed to be willful and spoiled, a true wife. Gu Su seemed to sense something. He looked up, his gaze cutting through the crowd, to land unerringly on Gu Cheng's face. There was no surprise, no hostility, just a calm glance, in his direction. Then, he looked away. He adjusted the child in his arms, and with his other hand, gently wrapped his other arm around Xiaji's waist. It was like declaring an indisputable fact. Following his movement, Xiaji finished buying the sugar painting. She turned around, and she saw him. Their eyes met, across the bustling crowd a few meters away. In her gaze, there was no hatred, no resentment, not even much emotion at all. It was like seeing a classmate she hadn't seen in years. To him, she gave an extremely slight nod of her head. It was a polite yet distant greeting. Then, she naturally linked arms with Gu Su. She took the small sugar painting from him. It was a rabbit. She lowered her head, and used the edge of the sugar painting, to gently touch the baby's little face in the swaddle. "Xingyan, look." Mommy bought this for you. Her voice was so gentle it could melt. Gu Qing stood frozen in place, not moving a muscle. He watched the family of three slowly merge into the flow of people. Their figures were gradually swallowed by the warm lamplight. He suddenly remembered that afternoon many years ago, with cherry blossoms swirling in the air. He was carrying her on his back, promising earnestly to carry her for a lifetime. But he forgot that carrying someone isn't just about using your back, it's about using your heart. He lost her along the way. Now, someone else steadily caught her, holding their child. They walked toward a place he could never reach, a place called the future. The wind from the river blew by, carrying the sweet scent of osmanthus. Gu Qing raised his hand and touched his own face. It was cold. So, some people, some things, really don't get a second chance.